Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high must leave the court immediately.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Today's rule is rule number 21. You know what? No.
Welcome to Rule 42. Thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure.
So I heard that you, in terms of like the similarities that Tom was discussing previously, I came from a very like hard background in terms of like how I was raised and what my experiences became, and I know what it's like to be hungry. And I heard you had a similar story, so I would love if you could share that with us.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm from Venezuela originally, from South America. I came to the UK when I was about 16 years old, which is a baby. Now that I'm a mom and I have a 13-year-old boy, I could not imagine sending him off to the other side of the country, at the globe, not even the country, in 3 years. Like, that is insane. But I'm the eldest of three. So I guess I was always an adult. I was always so responsible, and like, you know, my mom had to work. My stepdad was not useful. So she had to do everything. So I was kind of like the mother, you know, that I had to grow up really fast. I come from an abusive background as well from my stepdad. So I had to grow up, I had to grow up like at the age of 9. I think that's kind of like when I started cooking. I started like looking after my sisters, picking them up from school, dealing with my stepdad, dealing with my mom's divorce with my dad. So I think by the age of 12, I remember I used to hang around with like kids. They were like young adults. They were like 16, 17 and 18, because I thought people my age was just too
Immature.
Yeah. So when I came to the UK, I guess I was 16, but mentally I probably was like 20 or something like that. I have been through
You
so
grew up
much.
fast.
Yeah. So I came here. I had a boyfriend at the time. We would, you know, I had a little clique.
So you went with a boyfriend?
Yeah, I came here with a boyfriend.
Ooh,
Yeah,
at 16? Oh, see that? I have a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old. I can't imagine them moving away from me for a guy.
I know. I think it was kind of like my mom. She knew like I was struggling at home. I was, you know, she could tell I was a little bit fed up. I wanted to have a life at least for a year.
Yeah.
And it was her way of kind of like saying, look, you've done so much for the family already. Like, I trust you. You know, you can go for a year. I wanted to study journalism back in Venezuela. Thank God I didn't, because I would have ended up dead after everything happened politically.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason. So I came here,
Absolutely.
and he was here with a friend already, and it was a little clique of like Venezuelan people. I guess I didn't speak English, so it was kind of like the way to hang around with, you know.
How did you learn English?
Oh my God, it's the funniest thing. You guys know like England, right? It's called like pubs. Like,
Yes.
that's the thing. When I broke up with my boyfriend at the time, I remember, and then after like the whole thing and all the drama, and I kind of like stabilized myself. I was like, okay, I need to learn English, so I can't hang around my Venezuelan people anyways, because I was upset with them because of, you know, what happened. Then I was like, I don't know anyone from here, so what did I do? So I just started going to this like really scruffy old pub. And there were these really old ladies, and they were like playing poker. I guess they're like retired. So they used to see me. They wanted to marry me with the sons. So that was hilarious. And I used to just sit with them, and I just used to like hear them and just be like, you know, what's this? And they were really lovely. So I used to finish my school, like English school, when I used to go, because I barely went. And I used to just sit with like these old ladies at the pub and just listen to them speak.
That's awesome. That's smart.
Thank you.
That's thinking outside of the box. Most of the people that I know that like learned another language, they did it either through music or watching
TV.
like TV shows.
Yeah.
So you took it and you were like, no, I'm going to learn it from the real world.
No, I need to practice, you know.
Yes.
I've always been really like outspoken and like curious, and you know, so I never had many inhibitions you know, since I was little. So I was like, I don't mind, like I want to practice. I don't think like just listening and learning. I just need to speak it. So let's just sit down. I think I did that for like a year.
You didn't become like a permanent fixture at the pub?
Yeah, well, until they started just bringing the grandchildren and what.
Oh my God.
When I was like, okay, now you ladies are pimping me out. This is not right. you asking me to pay you for all the lessons. It was hilarious. Don't get me wrong, but they
meant well.
Yeah, that's what we started getting a little bit weird, and I was like, yeah, no, maybe I need to stop this. That's how I became homeless, because he cheated on me. I was 17. I've been in the country, I think, September, October, November, December, 5 months. Discovered that he's cheated on me. Obviously, I just walked out, and I had no money. I had nowhere to go. I mean, it's good.
Bravo to you. No, but that's such a hard thing to do because it's so scary. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I just thought I felt betrayed. I think I felt betrayed by everybody, because it was like 20 Venezuelan people and everybody knew. And I'm like,
went to let you?
Like, nobody told me. So I felt like I was betrayed by everybody. So in a way, I kind of like I told everybody I had somewhere to go. Don't worry. So they don't come and look for me. I was so upset. And I remember it was one of the worst winters, because London, we don't get snow ever. But that year we got snow, like the snow was up to your knees. So I remember walking down and just being like really angry. But then suddenly, like, it started raining, started snowing. I stopped in this really like art place, and I'm like, that's when it hit me, like, oh my God, like, here I am. I got my bags. I have no money. I'm starving. I have nowhere to go, nothing, no phone. I had a really warm jacket that I paid £300 for. That's it. That's all I had. So yes, it was scary, but it was also like, I think it was the beginning of my life, because I did a 360 turn 18 years later through the power of manifestation. I looked up and I looked at these people coming out of the building. I remember thinking, I can either call my mom, this could be the end of my story, and I can go back home and people are going to laugh at me, obviously, because he cheated on me and everybody used to tell me that he would, and not learning any English. Or this could be the beginning of my story. And I looked up and I looked at these people coming out of the building with like suits and like little briefcase. This is like 20 years ago. And then you still, like that briefcase. I was like, so I looked up and I was like, you know what? No. I decided not to tell my mom anything. I wiped my tears and I said, one day I'm going to be successful like them, meaning that I'm going to be an accountant, a lawyer. I don't know how I'm going to do it. At this point, I've only been 5 months, never spoken English. And 18 years later, I was walking into that same building, wearing a suit, so being forced to be auditioning for the Apprentice TV show. And I go on the show in the exact same building 18 years later.
Amazing. I am absolutely a believer in manifesting your destiny.
Yeah, it was crazy. For me, it was kind of like, so yeah, like I always say to people, every decision you make in life, you know, when you take the hard road, it's always going to pay off. So I took the hard road. The easy road was to call my mom, go back home. God knows what I would have ended up back home, because after that whole crisis went on with the government. So yeah, I went hungry. I got run over by a motorcycle while I was homeless. I was picking up.
How'd you get run? Wait, no, you can't just like skim me over that one. Wait a minute, roll it back. How do you get run over by a motorcycle?
I think I was really lethargic from hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing, I didn't need to lose weight to be sure. I was really skinny already, so there's not even a good thing. And I remember my boyfriend, my ex at the time, got me an interview with. His dad used to work in a restaurant. I used to flyer. That was my job, flyering on the streets. And he's like, oh, look, they're looking for cleaners and kitchen porters. You want to go? And like my excitement of thinking that I wasn't going to work in the cold anymore, I was so excited. So usually my whole routine would be like, get up, find somewhere where I can like access the toilet. So I can wash, kind of wash somewhere my face, at least my mouth. Then start looking for like pennies on the street. Thank God by then there was cash, because right now I'll be screwed. And I'm looking for pennies on the street to be able to like go and get like something to eat, you know. But by this point, he didn't even call me. I didn't even have a phone. He actually came to where I was flying and he said, look, you got an appointment with them at around 6 p.m. today. So I just didn't have time and I was really lethargic. And in London, you got the double-decker bus. So usually back then, they used to be open at the back. So you used to come out and then you cross the road. But I don't know what happened to me. I just went on the front of the bus. And I thought, okay, let me go before the bus goes. And as I go, the motorcycle's coming really fast and hit me and I roll over like, yeah. I don't remember. I don't know what happened. Like I woke up in a hospital. But I was happy to wake up in the hospital. I had a bed and I had food. So...
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Did you get inside with a job? Like, were you ever able to make that connection
At one
happen?
point, yeah, I had to really prove to them that like what happened, because they didn't believe me. Like, it was that typical story where I came in and they're like, oh, we were waiting for you. And in fact, I go run over by this motorcycle and this motorcycle's going really fast. So it hit me and I roll over. So I get to the hospital and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm hoping I've got something broken so I can stay here for a while so I can like sleep in a bed. And then this doctor comes in. It's like, oh my God, it's a miracle. You have nothing broken. And I was just making things up at this point. And I'm like, feel dizzy and, like, oh, they're like, no, we got to discharge you. So then a few hours later, I'm being discharged. I'm like, yeah, just my leg. That bed was so nice and warm. And I went the next day. And I said, I'm so sorry. I was meant to be here yesterday with my very broken English, but I motorcycle hit me like Tarzan style. And they're like, huh? They're like looking at me like, no. So I had to go to the hospital, get a letter, go back to and then they gave me the job. Yeah.
That's awesome. See, at least you were able to prove it. You followed up. So there are so many people that would have just gotten hit by that bus and wouldn't have, or hit by the motorcycle, and they wouldn't have even followed up.
If I didn't get that, I remember I used to get paid £70, which is about, I don't know, $85 per week, working 6 hours a day, because I was a student, right? Mm-hmm. So that amount to like, I don't know, I'm not really good at math, but really little per month. So that I couldn't get an accommodation with that amount of money, it was quite too impossible. So getting that job for me was the only way that I was able to save up a little bit. First, work in a warm environment. Yeah. They're like, oh, you got to clean the toilets and you're going to clean the place. I was so happy. You have no idea. Then they probably thought I was the weirdest human being in the planet.
No,
I was cleaning with so much pleasure.
No,
all I'm thinking is,
the warmth. There is no such thing as a job being beneath anyone. Yeah, I would take any job just to be able to know that I just didn't want my kids to be hungry. I didn't want them to know what that felt like. I would have it to the point where my kids would sit down, we'd have dinner, and I would move my food around because I didn't want to eat it because there really wasn't a lot. And if they wanted more, I wanted to be able to give them whatever I had. Yeah. So if they were hungry still, then I would give them my food. And they wouldn't realize it because I'm just kind of moving it around on the plate.
Yeah, they thinking that you're actually eating. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they're like, Mommy, I'm still hungry. It's okay. Look, I'm not even finished. Here, you can have some of mine. But I wasn't eating. And it got really bad. And I ended up getting a job where you had to wake up at 2:00 in the morning and you had to do all of this stuff. But it was what gave me enough money to move my kids out of where we were and move them into, they had their own rooms and And it is those hard decisions that you make. You're like, okay, how do I make this? This has to work. There's no alternative.
Survival mode. It's almost like it's this or this. Like if I don't, I remember telling the lady at the appointment, I said, listen, I clean your house if you need me to.
Yeah.
Whatever you need me to do, I will do.
I've done assistant work that I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this right now, but okay, I'm getting paid to do it. So what does it matter?
Well, I think it comes down to a choice. And Jemelin, you said it earlier, and you said, you know what? No, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to take the easy way. I'm going to do the hard thing. And Audrey, you've done that several times in your life too. And it's like, that's the turn.
I was a stripper. Yeah. I didn't know what to do. I'd gotten out of the military. I was so completely lost. I didn't really know who I was. I was still a kid, technically. I went from the high school into the Army, so it was just kind of, well, what do I do with myself now? Like, yeah, I have my MOS, but like my military specialty training, but how do you like translate that into the civilian world? I didn't know who to ask, who to talk to, and I never wanted to depend on anybody else. So I went into a club and was like, you know what? I'll do this. How do I do this? And someone goes, here goes a shot. Wait about 5 minutes and then go get on that stage. And that's what I did. And I did what I had to survive. I never slept with someone for money. That was never something that a bridge that I was willing to cross. And I was actually probably a little on the safe side in terms of what people think an exotic dancer is, because I didn't like people touching me. I wanted them to sit on their hands. They had to take their fingers and then sit on their hands, because I wanted to know that if you're expecting something from me, then it needs to be done in my comfort zone, and you're not allowed to touch me. So your hands will go under you, because if you touch me, we're done.
Yeah, but that's good. You had your boundaries, and I think
yes,
because I don't think being an exotic dancer is kind of like the worst thing you can do. Like it's not,
it paid my bills.
You're not harming anybody. You're not doing anything that is illegal or really bad. You're just basically using what we do anyways, which is dancing.
One of the dancers was going to nursing school to become a nurse. Like it was a lot of this just had to do with like girls being in a position where, okay, this can make me the money that I need to get where I want to be.
Yeah.
It's not it wasn't like or for me, it wasn't my like life goal. It was just, this is a situation that I can get myself into to be able to support myself. Because at that point I didn't have any kids, but and I did, and then things just kind of grew like you. Awesome. And I feel like those hard moments are the ones that build up to that, because it gives you that drive. Like you manifested, like you saw these guys, you looked up and you knew, like, I'm not going the easy way. I want that way.
Yeah,
and holy shit, like the same building too. Like what?
I couldn't believe it.
I kind of wanted you to have a little briefcase.
I really, well, no, I'm joking. I nearly had like a little, like, because I had my laptop at the time, and I remember I was going through a really massive spell of depression. So I was looking for work. I was looking for a job. So I thought, these auditions are usually really long. So I might take my laptop with me to kind of like carry on looking, like sending CVs out. I didn't take it. But yeah, I remember as I'm walking down, and at that point, this is 18 years later, I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at Instagram. I'm like, not even, but obviously as I'm walking down, and I'm like, oh my God, these roads are very familiar. And then the GPS goes like, now turn left. I'm like, I cried. I did my whole audition. My mascara was running. I called my partner and I said, I'm going to be an apprentice. My life is about to change. Finally, something good is happening after so much hard work. And, and he's like, didn't you just go left to go to the audition? They already picked you. I'm like, you don't understand. You don't understand.
I love that.
Yeah, that's incredible. So how was that experience? Because in America, obviously, you know who the host of The Apprentice was. It was it was Donald Trump. But how was it? How was the experience in England?
It's huge here. Like The Apprentice is like, I think it's big in the US, but I think the UK is a bit bigger in terms of like people worship the show. Like they think if you've been in The Apprentice, it's like, oh my God, it's like you get instant respect. It's insane. It's really, really big. So getting on the show, it was huge. Being the only Latina, born and bred Latina to get on the show. And, you know, like it was pretty big. It was pretty big. It was a really weird experience because I wasn't in it for the fame. And I think a lot of people, I went in there like laser focused, business minded. And then soon I realized, there's an entertainment show. Okay. But I'm grateful that I did it. I mean, it broke me to pieces and it built me up again. And if I wouldn't have done The Apprentice, I wouldn't have had my story gone on the papers and being heard. And I remember when my story went on the paper, my Apprentice, my season was one of the most controversial ones. There was a lot of like racism, a lot of, we were on the news all the time. You know, the first 7 people that were fired from the process were ethnic minorities. So then the papers, you know, the papers and the media love to create a big hoo-ha of everything. And then, you know, all these things that are happening. And so, yes, it was very controversial. So I was, usually the people from The Apprentice don't really get the 5-minute fame. Unless you become, you know, well-known in the media. But we did. We was in every red carpet event. We was in everywhere. Like,
that's so cool.
Like I went to take my mom shopping when my family came from Venezuela. And they were like, the security had to take me out of Harrods because they're like, oh, you're causing too much commotion. And they just want to take a selfie with me. And I was getting popped outside the restaurants. And I was like, this is insane. Do you know who I am? Yeah, Jemelin from The Apprentice. I'm like, okay, I'm just making sure.
That's so cool.
I'm not what you think. But yeah, it was really crazy. But
because you resonated with people. You're a sign of hope.
But I didn't think that, to be fair. Like, obviously, before The Apprentice, I was working in events. So I never had really a public career. Then I went on The Apprentice, and that happened. And I remember when it came out of The Apprentice, I went back into the pressure. Because it's just that, boom, again. Like, it's almost like I'm always trying to reach the top and I get so close. And then just somebody at the top just goes like that, boom. And then you're like, and it hit me really hard. So when that goes on the newspapers, somebody from The Apprentice, I told them my whole life story. I told them every secret, everything. And I knew the details in the paper. I knew that person had sold the story to the papers because of the details that were inside. I was like, I remember seeing all the papers. I was on the front news of, imagine like in America, all the front news of like all the main papers.
Yeah.
Front news, front paper on a Sunday, you know, Lord Sugar, business partner was homeless and so much, right? And I'm like, why is this even news? Like, why is wrong with people? Why is it wrong with the media? So anyways, I switched off my phone. I took out, back then there was SIM cards. I took out the SIM cards and I don't want to know because people are going to be really mean, right? People are going to be like, oh, why do they get a homeless girl or go on a show? You know, when they can give this opportunity to somebody else. Like, that's my thought. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking this is going to send me to, you know, suicidal. I don't want that. I gotta get better with myself. I not deleted, but like I blocked my social media, everything. Then one of my sisters in Miami, she texted me and she's like, Jem, Twitter, it's going crazy. And I'm like, do not tell me. I don't want to know. Everybody's talking, you trending. And I'm like, please. And then she's like, oh my God, Jem, everybody is literally obsessed with your story. Like, it went all over Venezuela. Like, it caused more commotion than me being actually on the show. Because I guess it gave hope to people. It's like, wow, this girl came here. She was 16. She was broke. She was homeless. How on earth did she go and go on Apprentice TV show, have a business idea, create something in her life and a life for herself. She used the exception of the rule, not your typical, immigrant that comes and apparently takes all the jobs and all these things. Like, and then I switched off my phone and I had hundreds of messages of like really young girls saying, you're my inspiration, young people wanted me to speak at universities, people wanted me to, they're like, come on, art and this. And I was like, it was insane. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And that launched my motivational career and in a way saved my life, because when I realized the power of my story and the power of that I had with my words and people are sending me a message when I have a talk saying I was considering killing myself that evening and I heard you speak and now I'm hopeful and I want to go a little bit further. That just for me was like, okay, this is me. This is it. This is what I want to do. I just want to inspire people. I just want to help people. Like I want to show like every little piece of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything that I've done in order for me to change my life and hopefully help others change theirs. So in a way, it was like the transformation. So it wasn't winning The Apprentice.
No,
that wasn't meant for me. It was actually what was going to do with my life in terms of my story.
and that's amazing. And you didn't even realize the inspiration that you're creating.
I thought I was a loser. That's how I felt.
But that's where the hope is, because so many of us feel that way. So many of us have gotten to a point in our lives where it's like you either give up or you keep going. And unfortunately, it takes true strength to keep going. Because it is fucking hard to have to like face something and go, okay, I can do this and I can keep going and it can be okay. Or I can just lay down and just like let this consume me and eat me. And you have gone through that over and over again and not given up. And that's where that hope comes from. And that whole like girls are looking at you, like women, like you're Latina, like you're like an inspiration for generations that were told that we're not that. We can't make this our future. Like that's what you rely on that man for.
Yeah.
It's and your job is to, you take care of the home, you take care of your babies, like you do that. That's what you do. But what if you want to be more than that? And you went beyond that.
Yeah.
And you did it yourself. You did it yourself. And nobody can take that. And it provides that whole sense of hope. And these other girls, they're like, okay, you know what? I don't think I can get through this. And then they see you and they're like, shit, she did. I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah. Well, I generally, that's why I'm so open when it comes to everything that I do. And I speak about every little thing because it's not a walk in the park. And I still struggle and I still, like the doubts and the failures and the setbacks. That is not top. I always say to people, you never reach a top. You reach a new level of you where you get comfortable maybe with who you are. Maybe you get comfortable with your purpose, the direction that you're going. But then there is all the other things that us as human beings, we have to deal with on a, okay, I might be really good. Like my business might be doing really good, but then I feel like a crap mother.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I'm neglecting my son and I'm like, okay, I'm making these sacrifices for him, but at the end of the day, he's not going to be at this age, at this time ever again. So then you go and say, do you know what? I'm gonna give him some time, and then my business goes to crap, and then you're like, it's a constant rat race in your brain. So how do you master that? And like I'm so open on my socials. I share everything. I share my struggles. I share my insecurities. I share. I can't just share the highs, like that's what people see and that's what people like to share. I share when I had to, when the 5 minutes of fame from The Apprentice died down, nobody, the phone stopped ringing and nobody wanted me to, be around or go on the shows or go to the premieres and, no more pops. Now I walk past the paparazzis. I don't even know who I am. Then I had to go back to work because I've been independent all my life. I've been independent since I was 9 years old. Pretty much. So I've never had anybody telling me, here, here's money for your bills, here's money for this. So I had to go back to doing events. And I remember like, that was like another, this is only like a year ago, a year and a half ago. They'd be like, where did I know you from? And I know this is English for you. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I would never say it because I hope you don't know. Oh, aren't you that girl from The Apprentice? And I'm like, I changed my hair color and everything. So I didn't get recognized anymore. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, darling. And you're doing this now? Oh, bless. And I'm like, oh my God. I know people don't mean harm. I know, you're talking about majority of people with Apprentice are a bit older, on the older scale. So, these people they don't know.
Those are your friends from the pub though, right?
Those are your friends from the pub.
So, Jemelin, I want to ask you, because after The Apprentice, you kind of lost everything again, right? Not just your family.
I lost everything.
Yeah.
No, I didn't lose everything. I actually went even worse than before The Apprentice, because at least before The Apprentice, I didn't have this fame thing, and I didn't have this, taste for the good life. And I guess being an influencer doesn't actually pay for your bills. So I was like, okay, so time to get back to work. So so I started doing events, and obviously I do, Wimbledon. I used to work in Wimbledon, look after the VIPs. I call my job glorified waitress. We hostesses, we just wear heels and we look pretty. Welcome people. But because I'm very humble. I come from like so little. Like I used to always help with like carrying the pints, or I've never been too precious to pick up something. So they thinking that I'm just a waitress or whatever. So yes, I used to get people, and it happened quite a while, like quite a lot. Like I said, my apprentice was quite a famous one, unfortunately. So it got to me. It really got to me in November 2022. I went into a huge depression. I canceled every job I had. I didn't want to shower. I didn't want to get out. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to see people. I just didn't want to see people. I just felt people were mean. And it just, again, I'm sitting here. And I remember sitting in this room that I am now, but it wasn't my office. It was kind of like a damp room. And I was sitting in the middle of all this stuff, crying myself, thinking, I'm 38 and I've got nothing. And I've done nothing with my life. That's what I'm thinking, of course, overly dramatic. I've done a lot with my life at this point. I'm like,
No, that's just that rabbit hole.
yeah. It's like, I want to be 40 in 2 years. I thought by 30 I was going to have a house at least. Minimum. Never even had a car. I've never even. So just cried. I started, just went back to the rabbit hole. Just didn't want to see people. I just felt like I went back into depression. And not only that, I went back to depression, and then I went into massive debt because obviously I'm consuming all the credit cards and everything. It's like,
You start trying to get some type of dopamine fix.
Bad circle. He's like trying the
Vicious cycle.
up, and it's just, I totally get it.
But talking about being in different phases and being kind of, people will look from the outside at something and think that it's like this amazing, like, oh my God, that person's like the happiest person in the entire world and has zero problems, and like, oh my God, wish they were them, or I wish I was like whatever. And I have a lot of people that will look at me and be like, oh my God, you're lucky. And yes, I am very blessed, and I appreciate everything that I have in my life. But a month ago, I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I cried all day, every day. I wasn't eating. I just gave up, because you get down this rabbit hole of depression and you're just done. Like, you're just checked out, and it does nothing. Everything stops mattering. And I got out of it, thank God. But it took a lot of people kind of like supporting and being around me and recognizing, because I'm very good at I was actually at the dentist today and I'm afraid of dental work, and they're talking to me and I've got tears rolling down my face because, and I don't know why. I don't, and I'm just going, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm crying. And there was nothing wrong, but like, you have these people that will look at you and they'll see something and they'll know, like, yeah, no, I know you're telling me you're fine, but like, you're not. So we're just going to go through this together. And I've been very lucky to have a system around me. So I don't know if you had that when you go through like your like kind of.
I do, like, I have a very supportive partner, but it's hard because my mom is a very Latina. So I remember when I said to her, so I had a panic attack once. They took me to the emergency because I just couldn't breathe. And I had a panic attack. This is when the panic attacks were happening quite often. And my mom, I spoke to my mom because obviously she knew something wrong because I wasn't posting, I wasn't being present. And she's like, what's going on? And my mom, I'm just going to tell you, like, you know, I'm suffering from anxiety. And it's like, why are you anxious about?
Yes, my mom's the same way. She was like, just great.
What's the problem?
Just even the face is perfect.
And then I'm like, Mom, it's not really like that. It's like, you know, but you got food, you got roof, you got health. And I'm like, I know, Mom, it's, you know, it's kind of like a chemical reaction.
You woke up this morning.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong?
It's like, it's a chemical reaction in your brain. It's like, well, stop drinking. Stop smoking.
Oh my God.
So that was my mom out of the equation. And then, you know, with my partner, I guess, like he knew, like, I'm really good at opening up, like, even on social media. I remember, so one of my visualization when I started doing network marketing was like, I really want to travel the world. Like, you know, the whole thing where you're like, oh, I want to be rich and I want to travel the world. But obviously I wasn't clear enough with the universe. I was a little bit too vague. So this person sent me a friend that works in an airline. So here I am, I'm traveling the world. I'm in the Maldives, but I'm broke as hell. And I want to post a really pretty picture, but I'm like, I hate being fake. Like, I don't want to post something online saying, hey, look at me, I'm in the Maldives. So I posted saying, I've been going through a really rough time, and, you know, get yourself a friend that works in an airline so you can suffer from the pressure in the Maldives.
That's awesome, though. Those are the components of life that people need to know. Yeah, you go through them, but you can come out of them.
Absolutely. Because I feel like everybody's just like trying to show like this perfection. And I could have posted saying, oh, look at me, I'm in the Maldives. But I'm like, I was absolutely, don't get me wrong, I was only there for a short period of time, but like I had like, I don't know, like 30 pounds in my account, and I was miserable as hell when I was alone, and I was just drinking a lot, trying to get and I'm in the Maldives. Like on a 800 pounds, $1,000 a night hotel. That's paid for British Airways, but because I'm one of the Klingons, so staff travel, I paid £300 for 4 nights in the Maldives.
That's amazing.
But obviously, that's the universe.
You're depressed the whole time.
This is the universe saying that, like, you only told me you wanted to travel.
It's okay. I was standing on the beach in Bali. Or no, I wasn't standing on the beach. I was sitting on the beach in Bali crying hysterical. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning here on the phone with my cousin because I was watching other people living the moments that I wanted to live. I wanted to be that couple walking on the beach hand in hand, like hugging and kissing and completely oblivious to the rest of the world. But instead, I was sitting by myself watching these people walking by with the sunset. And instead of being in the moment, which is what I should have been appreciating what was around me and what I was, where I was, and like, you know, the sun was setting and gorgeous beach and music was playing and it was just beautiful. And I should have been more engrossed in that. And instead of, I'm ugly crying about how, oh, I'm that girl walking on the beach with the boy. So, like you said, sometimes you put it out there, but the universe is just like, well, we'll do this, but
Yeah, that you never told me.
Gotta
what
be
I
very
wanted.
specific when you're telling the universe what you want.
No, I've learned my lesson 100%. Now I'm like, T, like, listen, this is exactly what I need. And yeah, it's crazy to just, but all of those things, I guess they teach you. And I'm becoming now a manifestation coach, an online educator, motivational speaker. All these things are lessons that I learned that I can pass on to people. And it's funny when I do my motivational speaking, sort of, I call them transformational talks. And people say to me, you must be so happy now all the time. I'm like, hell no, I wish. God, no, I could never. Oh, God, first of all, I'm a hot-headed Latina. So I have to control my anger every second of the day.
you have to count to 10.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, Musa, breathe it out.
So yes, am I a bit more? The only thing that is different to me right now that it was on that Jemelin, there was, the precise that one, I acknowledge how I feel every day. I actually acknowledge. Two, I live in gratitude. I'm not just grateful, but I actually live in gratitude. Like it's part of my being, my bones. And three, when I do get into those, because what happens when you start to be successful and the money starts to roll in and you have a team and it's a different level of stress. I just have to kind of remind myself, like, look, you've done this is what you wanted. But also, I know how to get myself out of it faster. That's basically it. Before I will go on the rabbit hole and stay there, God knows how long. And before I know it, 3, 6, 7 months have gone by and I'm still complaining that, that the weather is crap and, like I haven't washed my hair, whatever.
It doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
You have to actually be.
Now I shut it down to like, maybe I have like a meltdown for like a week or so. And then I kind of like wipe my tears. Okay, time to get to work. And now that I'm running my business, that meltdown lasts about probably 2 to 3 hours.
Because you don't have the time anymore. Your business is not conducive to meltdowns.
I feel like sometimes you need to feel the sadness and like the depression and let your body go through that, because sometimes you need that release of just releasing the negativity that's in there that sometimes we push down and don't really deal with. So then
it's okay not to
feel it, acknowledge it, but then let it go.
This past weekend was the first time I realized what Inside Out and the whole sadness thing meant.
No way. Oh my God.
I've watched that movie like a million times, and it was the first time I actually think I saw that part where Joy like noticed why sadness was so important.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, missed that the first 20
Great.
minutes.
I always say to people, embrace those moments. Like I listen to my body and myself, and as women we go through periods in the month which they don't help. And, sometimes I wake up and I think, I don't feel good today. I just want to cry. I don't know why. And I just cry and I don't question it. But then before I question, like, why is wrong with me? Why am I crying? Now I'm like, you know what? I feel really good. I might have to go for a walk in the park. I listened to a book called The Power, which is the same also by The Secret, but I listened to it and I listened to the chapter, there's feeling frequencies. And I listen to it as I walk in the park, and I swear to God, like that just fills me up again. And then I just acknowledge, like I think a lot of people are going through life on autopilot. They just like they wake up, the next thing they're thinking about, like, let me get coffee, all right, let me get all the traffic, or oh my God, what's going on? Oh my God. And they don't really sit down for a second and think like, how do I feel today? Do I feel good? Do I need some self-love, or am I all right? Am I good? Because we are always getting drained out of our energy somehow, somewhere, by our kids, by our parents, by our family, by someone, and we need to fill in our cup, and we don't do that. We just keep going. And before you know it, like, I don't know you guys, but I feel like your day just flies by between kids, dinner, school,
or
runs,
making dinner. There's so much.
Being, drinking water, remembering to do some kind of exercise.
Someone tells me, don't forget what they tell you on the plane. Your mask first.
Yeah.
You have to be able, you have to be healthy yourself in order to make sure that you have you're interacting with the people around you the right way. Especially when you have kids, because our moods affect them so much. And the same way as them, their moods affect us too. And it is okay to tell them that. Because your attitude, when you can just be talking to me and communicating with me, is unnecessary. And I will get that same attitude with you. So don't even. It's so important that we're able to be in the right place and take care of ourselves. And so you're right. A lot of people just don't do that because they don't realize how important it is.
Self-awareness, I think, is
like we get
powerful.
stuck in like a hamster wheel of life, just kind of like going through the motions of the day to day that we just kind of forget.
Yeah.
Step back and just kind of.
Yeah. I don't stand still long enough to. I'm always somewhere else. Half the time I was waking up this year and I didn't know what state I was in. So.
Oh, well, that's all right.
My daughters are cheerleaders. They're all.
So you have to travel around.
Well, one of them decided she wanted to move to Florida.
Oh,
so this past year has been spent between Florida, Connecticut, and then wherever their competitions were. And of course, I had 2 different kids in 2 different gyms in 2 different states. So all their competitions were in other different states at different times or at the same time. You just had to figure out how to make it work. Yeah. So, but self-care, super important, because I was definitely checking out on my kids for a while.
Absolutely.
And I did what you were talking about. Like, I started hiding behind alcohol, because then all of those insecurities of like, I would lose sight of what I was doing, why I did what I was doing. Why? Like, I did it because I knew it was what that child, I needed to focus on that child at that moment because she was just going through so much. And it was a move that was necessary for her. So I made it, but then all of those self-doubt things started coming in with like, well, but I also have a newborn that I left at home. And I have a 4-year-old at home. I mean, they're all older now, and then I have a daughter that's like another one that's dealing with other stuff from being just a kid, and girls are mean. And, your lunch table should not require the psychiatrist at it because girls are so mean to each other. Like, yeah, just all of these other things were going on and it would get overwhelming. So it's another thing.
They say alcohol, I'm not against it, don't get me wrong, but as I started running my business and I actually found something that I was very passionate and, kind of like my purpose, and being online for me was important because I didn't want to see people at the time. I just wanted to hide behind the keyboard. And I was like, I got to make this work. This is it. Like, I'm 39 now. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to I don't know, just become a hippie. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, seriously, like, I'm just going to travel the world and somehow like pick up, there's not even cash anymore in the floor. So I just thought, no idea what I'm going to do. So this is it. So
Instagram with that money thingy now where you could scan. Someone had that on the back of their car where you could just pay them if you scanned their code.
Good idea. I just thought, like I had to make it work. And yeah, I feel like even now, like I still have to go through the motions of the day, and it's not easy.
Every day is still making it work. Even when you get to a certain point, you still have to make it work. You can't just stop because you're there, because guess what? When you stop, then all of it goes away.
Yeah. Well, I didn't come this far to come this far, I guess. And like, I'm very grateful that I get to help people. I get to do that for a living. I get to work with people now that are like probably in a similar situation that I was, stuck and get out of that. I'm actually on the news tomorrow here in the UK.
That's awesome. What are they going to do? What are they interviewing on?
They're going into Good
Morning America.
Yeah. But this is Great Britain news. It's in the evening, but GB News. And that's what we're going to talk about. And I think like we're going through a crisis at the moment where, people are struggling financially, mentally. There's so much going on in the world. Like, you got the war, you got everything, and the economic crisis. We are going through an economic crisis, and people are really, really struggling, like in every level, because it's not just the financial stuff. It's also the mental stuff, the emotional stuff, everything that is happening. There's so much dark and negativity at the moment.
Yeah.
Like all around the world. That I think it's draining. If I can share a bit of light on, how people can do something with their life, that just like I did, I had 40 pounds in my account. I had zero money. Like I remember thinking like, what am I going to do? And it was only learning to do an online business and getting into the digital world and doing digital products. And I'm just really shocked that it's not so as big in the UK as it is in the US. Because it's such an incredible way to help other people and make money along the way, but then also become the best version that you can be yourself, doing it aside of what you already do, which is your job, so without any risk or anything like that. So I guess they kind of like want to learn the story of how I went from like having zero to making nearly, making $20,000 in 1 month, and then just kind of like reframing my whole life. And I think people don't talk about money enough. Like, it's such a taboo, and I'm like open about money. I like, it's crazy to me that it's still a taboo. It's like, come on, man, like, let's talk. You want to make money? It's fine. It's good. Money is good. Money.
I don't think the problem out there is that people don't want to make money. I think that the problem is people don't want to work for it. They just want it handed to them.
No, I think it's the lack of clarity. I think it's lack of clarity, because when I explain it to
people know I have money and I have a lot of hands like this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you get those as well. But I'm saying, like, for me, for example, when I was in the dark space, and actually it was a lady from America that introduced me to the whole online world. And I remember, like, she saved my life.
How'd you meet her though? Because if you were depressed, so like, oh, TikTok, get out of here.
I was scrolling endlessly on TikTok because I was trying to figure it out.
Dopamine fix.
Yeah, I was watching funny cat videos.
See, dopamine fix. These cat videos are good though.
They are good, Idiot.
But that because that year I wanted to launch digital products or do something like in the online space. I had no idea how to start. And I remember I was searching on TikTok previously. So this lady just comes up in my thing, and then she starts talking about, this digital course and teach you this, and that. And I remember I clicked on her link, and then it said book a call. And I was like, oh, she's a scammer. Yeah, she's a scammer. Like your whole mentality and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm going to jump on a call and see. And she was the loveliest girl. She even gave me a discount, and she was like, look, this is going to like transform your life and this now. I was like, yeah, whatever, just whatever. And then I did it. And then I started, I had so much desperation in me to make something work. It was an American course. It was an American product. So I was like, I'm just going to go for it. But it was needed. A lot of people need help with their social media, with creating content. Like, people are really clueless when it comes to that. So I started just speaking to people like small business owners that don't particularly have a digital marketing budget. So, hey, you want to learn how to like position your business online and things like that. And then before I knew, I was speaking to so many people, and yeah, started making all this crazy money. And also, where because it's online, it's unlimited, it's uncapped. And
how do people get a hold of you? Like, what's the easiest way for people to reach out?
Oh,
to
I'm
you?
everywhere. Like, I mean, Instagram is my main thing. Instagram, TikTok. Just my name, the same, Jemelin Artigas. Everywhere, really. In every single platform. You can Google my name. It's like everywhere. It's like Jemelin Artigas.
So that's what you respond to. You respond more to the people that go through to you on Instagram.
But yeah, I'm on my DMs. I'm on my DMs all the time. Yeah.
No, we're all looking for you. By the way.
No, I just
just so you're aware of what's happening right now. We're all just looking for you. I'm like, I'm gonna do that now while I'm sitting here.
Okay. But yeah, you see, like, that it's gonna be like my content is very mixed with, things that I do, obviously, or the things that I'm involved with, as well as, a lot of like struggles. And even now, like I said, running my business, dealing with anxiety. I've got ADHD. Which doesn't help.
Welcome to the right place.
So
I
meditating
keep trying to do. I keep doing this, and I keep like seeing it, and I'm like, stop.
And why? No, do it.
I mean,
If it helps
some
you,
you
do
got
it.
to move.
Wait, Jemelin, did you say you can't meditate?
No, I can't, but I'm doing it.
Oh, wow.
But I
It
found
takes longer.
So I found a way to meditate, right? So obviously one of the things that I said, okay, I want to run my business online. I don't want to have an alarm. I want to wake up when my body wants to wake up. So I don't really have an alarm. Sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? I love the fact that I don't know. Every morning I wake up, unless obviously I have a meeting and I have to get up early. Every morning I wake up, and as soon as I wake up, I put the headphones on and I meditate while I'm just waking up. So I say meditate, but I think I carry on sleeping sometimes. So it's my excuse to stay in bed for another half an hour or sometimes 2 hours. But
No, the alarm isn't on, so
exactly. But it's working.
yay! Like, is it helping with like anxiety issues and like?
I'm happier. I'm calmer. My mind is a little bit less noisy. I can finish stuff where I couldn't before. I will start something, I will never be able to finish it. It was like hardcore. So
Tell me, remind me to send you a picture of my room later.
oh my God, yeah. No, I'm starting to see, I'm gonna go to an ayahuasca retreat at the end of the month.
Shut up.
Because
My sister my sister does retreats and all of that. She works with some shaman from Peru, and she does them all over the world. She was actually just in Barcelona and Portugal doing ayahuasca retreats. Yeah.
Where are you doing yours?
You to me meditating at Mallorca. I want to do one in Colombia or Peru next year, but the first one I'm going to just from meditating. I think it's been 7 months. It's opened up stuff, and I have a lot of healing to do from my stepdad abused me sexually, physically, and mentally since I was 9 until I was 12. And which is a lot of years of abuse. And I still have a lot of stuff that I have to heal. And I think there is so much therapy that you can do. Even writing a book. So I had somebody come to me and say, hey, I want to write your book. I think your story is amazing. And so we started writing the book, and I just could not bring myself to that chapter because I'm still having to heal. So I think I've been meeting my whoever they are, spiritual guidance. I've got about 7 of them that I've been meeting them in my dreams, and I've been speaking to them, and I've been experiencing this really strange stuff. That's through meditation. It's obviously open up my chakras, open up stuff that I didn't know I could. And one of them told me, you need to go for a healing retreat.
Well, the mind is a powerful thing, and there's so much in there that that we don't really even use ourselves. So
yeah,
it's great that you're open to that and willing to kind of do the work to better yourself and kind of be the best you that you can be.
Yeah, I think I have to just, I think that will be like my ceremony of finally getting rid of so much trauma. I'm not saying it's never going to affect me anymore, but I finally coming to stop affecting me, like before I would think about it and it was just cry, and it's just that dark cloud all over my head.
It'll help you stop being a victim.
We totally need to do this after you do this retreat because
yeah, I'm gonna document.
Jen and I have this constant
retreat, but I'm gonna document the before, and then I'm gonna document. I'm allowed to document after the sessions, but away in private, and then I'm also gonna document the after, and then the after.
Oh, we're gonna have to follow you through.
Yeah, Jemelin, can you come back and talk to us about that after you're done?
Absolutely, yeah, I'd love to. Yeah,
awesome.
I'm excited. We've discussed possibly doing this, but there are just certain things in my past. I feel like I don't remember them for a reason.
Exactly.
And I'd like to for them to stay in that little ball back there. And I heard that this will open all of that.
Yeah, I spoke to the one of the shamans, and I said, look, I've been through really dark things in my life, and like really, you can't even. It's like you should have come when you was more broken. Like now it's gonna be good, but you should have come when you're even more broken, because then you can
Get it out.
Yeah, and I didn't think that was supposed to, like, I thought you had to kind of, like, be ready for it. He's like, no, you're going to experience, obviously, a lot of stuff now, but then it would have been even crazier. And I was like, oh, okay. Obviously, it's not as strong as it is in South America, but I feel like I'm just ready. I'm just absolutely ready, and I can't wait.
Well, I know
I'm so excited for you.
my sister said that like the medicine will kind of take you to where you need to go, and it won't take you beyond that until you're ready to go to those certain spaces.
Yeah, I think I've had an outer body experience when I was away with my husband in Barbados. I've had so many strange things happening like for the past, and I've been documenting everything because I like to just find out what like I dreamed that I couldn't see my head I was headless in the mirror, and I kept dreaming the same thing over and over and over. And basically that's the biggest spiritual awakening out there, when you can't see your head. There is a theory, and I had no idea about all of this. I just went on Google and said headless dream.
Like, where did my head go?
It's meant to be like your third eye, and I swear to God, I didn't think all of this stuff was just absolutely BS, and people that, la la la, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to become one of those people that has dreadlocks and just go like, oh, everything. I'm too glamorous for that.
No,
but I guess it's
All types of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will definitely circle back and I'll tell you guys how I went.
I'm so excited. I'm excited for you, because that's definitely like a step that's a scary step. Again, see, you take all of these scary steps and you're like, you know what? This is scary. I'm doing it.
I know. Like, I know it's gonna be. And I said to my husband if he wanted to come, and then I kind of like, I think the next day I was like, actually no.
It was such a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for being on Rule 42 and going down our messy rabbit hole today.
I know, and thank you. Thank you
was
so much.
fun.
Sorry I was late, but it was great too.
Oh, don't be sorry. You had a completely legit reason why.
Hey,
Thank you for having me.
she's had some moments. She got ran over by a motorcycle and had to provide that proof. So,
Oh my goodness.
she's been there.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
So thank you so much. Again, it was such a pleasure meeting you. So our best ways for people to get out to you are through Instagram, through pretty much every social media platform. You are in your DMs. Again, it's Jemelin Artigas, an amazingly gorgeous Latina woman that has taken herself beyond, and a true inspiration. So, and I thank you not just for me and like other, like my kids too, because you're like, these are the people that they need to be able to look up to and say, yeah, that's, you know what? That's who I am. That's me. I'm looking at me right now, and I can be there too. So,
I hope so. Yeah. All right, guys. Have an amazing one. It was lovely
me too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys, what an amazing, inspirational, incredible, Latina woman. Like, I joked that there were 4 Latina women, but it was just really cool to see and to be a part of it, as you guys got to hear Jemelin's incredible story.
Well, and that's what it's so funny, because I actually had a discussion with somebody recently. Oh, Jen. Okay. So Jen and I were having a conversation about like the representation for the Hispanic females out there. And we get the princess that goes straight to Disney, or straight to
Princess is Encanto. She's not even a princess. She's just
no, there was the princess Alana, but she was like straight to DVD.
Avalor.
Yes. And then you have the Coco, where and it's important that it's showing like the the various like portions of the culture. But there's no Snow White, Cinderella. We don't get like, Tiana, Mulan. Like, so to see someone that comes from the same background and the same kind of storyline, be successful. It's just, these are the people that you want your kids to be able to look at and look up to and go, look, they look like you. Say they sound like your family. They are you, and you can do this the same way. Because that's what all of those princesses provide for like these little girls. They give some, like, I know that not everyone agrees with whatever, but I happen to very much have enjoyed watching princesses growing up and wanted to be a princess.
I love
and but they had like, look at Mulan and like her story and how like inspirational that is for that culture, and like how inspirational someone like Cinderella is, like, and her story and the trials and tribulations and all of that, and still coming out ahead because you don't give up and you face that fear and you get over that fear. And to have like these strong Latina women out there that we can point at and tell our kids, like, see, that's you, and you can do it too.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so important for
Representation,
every culture to have the representation.
Representation absolutely matters. I think that the fine line is that when you try to be too woke and try to force it comes off as bullshit. And I think you just need to write better characters. And now that you're starting to see more of that, don't make the Little Mermaid black. Just write a different story with the black lead.
Yes.
We don't have to change the originals into people that they're not.
Write new stories. People want to hear them. People gravitate towards them.
There's so many other stories out there that there could be. And
and Jemelin, I'm fortunate to get her on. What an incredible story and
an amazing story.
Yeah, just like homeless at 17 in a new country, speaking barely any English.
16, because she came at 16. It was 17 that she ended up on the street because of the whole relationship thing. But
somehow gets on The Apprentice and then loses everything and then builds it up again now to where she is, and just incredible story and definitely inspirational. Just a fighter.
Yeah.
And not just
that's awesome.
And also, but not just, and this is what the appeal is, not just for Latino girls and women, but for anyone. Because anyone who hears their stories, like this person.
You know what? It's coming from nothing and making something of yourself and keep persevering into making your dream come true and like making yourself the best version of you that you can be. And I feel like that resonates for everyone, not just
incredible
boys, girls, everyone.
Yep. Awesome story. Glad she was on. Rule 42.
Rule 42.
1, 2, 3, 42. Rule 42 is hosted by Audrey Cruz and Jen Burke. It is produced and edited by Tom Smith. The opening song is Rule 42 by Eddie Carr. Rule 42's artwork was created by Aubrey Cruz. And I'm your announcer, Molly Smith. Thank you for listening to Rule 42. We hope you enjoyed the show. New episodes premiere every Thursday on all podcast platforms. Please subscribe, share the show, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple.